This is News Channel. It's a shocking new. I'm reporting you the superheroine situation of COVID-19. As we realized the affected after snaps by Thanos, one of Avengers' hero, Thor, had become to be gain weight after shock and disappointed of his failed. Since Thor began to hide away from the crowd, keeping his own home, and leave the house only once a month to get supplies food and liquors beer that is hoarded to eat. Thor lives at home playing online games such as Fortnite. Sometimes, if we log in to try, we may also meet bonus players as well. Thor lives all day, aimlessly waste time with playing games and drinking beer. Shortly thereafter, we found out that Thor became fatter and fatter due to having unhealthy foods, eating none salad, none vegetables and none exercising. We also found that Thor doesn't really clean the house. Dark house closed, causing the air in the house to not flow, including eating residues from food scraps and other impurities that has not been cleaned. Thor has been living aimlessly for 5 years, when he was asked by Hulk and Rocket to return to the Avenger. In the final mission, Thor decided to fix the mistakes in his mind. And as we all know, Thanos has been eliminated with the snap by Iron Man method. Thor begins a new journey with the Guardians of the Galaxy, consisting of Peter Quill, Drax, Rocket, Groot, Nebula, Mantis in order to find Gamora. With the Guardians of the Galaxy team, why does he just think that he will start doing things by himself, not under the expectations of others as suggested by his mother? And this is the first time Thor has chosen without a purpose, but deep down, Thor is happy and excited about the freedom he chooses. After starting his journey, Thor begins to realize that living in a spacecraft is aimless. Wandering around searching for Gamora is a waste of time. There is no such a good food on the ship. Thor played a game with Groot, pulled his muscles and danced with Quill, trained to assemble bombs and transformed high-tech devices with Rocket, including practicing mindlessness, moving so slow that nobody can see Drax. Days after days pass by. With living in a spaceship, it appears that the weight of Thor is continuously increasing. Because even though there aren't many menus to eat, but since not exercising and eating only frozen food that doesn't have vegetables, including pointless lives, making no change to Thor any other than boredom. Thor then chose to travel back to Midgard because deep inside thinking that he might have the chance to meet Jane, his lover. And that's a new destination that will spark hope for Thor. Thor has asked the Guardians of the Galaxy team to drop him to Midgard, thus Quill himself also thought of because of a search for Gamora and the rest other stars, they have not returned to Midgard, the place where they met Gamora for the last time. Year 2020, or 1 year living in the galaxy. Upon arrival in Midgard, everyone found that the country was so quiet. People at various locations surprisingly reduced, especially during the night. They almost didn't find anyone going outside to walk in public. Lockdown and curfew, even though they are the most idiot in the galaxy, but they know that it was caused by COVID-19. Groot read from pop-up advertisements on his game screen. Everyone decides to stay at a fine house that contacted and arranged by Happy. Happy is quite anxious according to his habit, therefore pleading guilty, forcing everyone to detain himself. The place where the luxurious penthouse was held to trade with their detention 14 days after Mantis had a slight fever. Why does Happy know? Looking at Mantis's crest, it has a hot glow coming out. That is showing a heavy fever. The more the fever is from the disease or the virus will mutate. Just think is scary then. Stress. Oh, don't forget to put on the mask. Oh, and then use alcohol gel to wash hands often. Don't forget this is serious detention. If anyone go outside the house, the government allows the military to shoot immediately. Do not forget. Thor and Quill secretly apply to be a food delivery employee like Grab Food Guy because they say it's the only chance for them to go find Jane and Gamora. While Groot and Drax tag team online playing a game with the social distance each other. Mantis rested because Happy said that she was ill, suspected she would be ill, while Nebula and Rocket were practice cooking follow through YouTube. Thor started eating salads from the restaurants that he usually pick up the food to delivery. Thor's weight started to drop a little by little, while Quill secretly left the mission and set off to the mother's house in Missouri. Later, Quill was arrested by the police while driving through the checkpoint. Charged with violating press lockdown of the country, Quill was sentenced to 7 days in a jail as an example of a case of violation of government notices. Thor continues to drive the food by a bike. Until one day, I started to see that someone had met Jane. That is the clue to made him happy and even more encouraged. 1 month later, the atmosphere in the country is becoming increasingly strict. Outsiders are steadily declining, only restaurants and food delivery guys are allowed to come outside for a limited time. Thor needs to be monitored for fever every morning. Thor started to get more and more information that came closer to Jane from some places, then went to deliver food, Thor getting serious about eating salad and exercise. Full hope that he must return to be the same Thor so Jane can remember once they really meet. One day, Thor delivered food to the nurses at the hospital, but according to rules, was arrested for a fever testing. It has been found that Thor has a fever and has a chance to become COVID because Thor has a history of risk traveling to see people every day. If doctors know that Thor is not often using hand sanitizer and sometimes annoyed, refusing to use a mask to cover the mouth, he has a chance getting virus and potentially become a spreader. The blood test results are positive. That's Thor got COVID finally. Then Thor been confined to the hospital. No chance to follow Jane despite that began to come across. The next day, Thor got a high temperature of 38 degrees and also received the news that the customers who used to going send their food to become ill were admitted to the same hospital. Probably because that day I didn't use face mask and forgot washing my hands well before delivering food to customers. Oh Holly sorry. Mantis was not sick, including Drax, Nabur, Groot and Rocket. Oh. It better strictly do a social distancing and lockdown in the house. It's indeed great for you all. Thank you for watching our video. Let you follow our channel by click subscribe button.